Good morning, learners. Welcome to our today's lesson on 10. That we are going to continue with a topic that we had started some time back. That was correlatives. So if you can remember very well, we did only two. That was the use of no sooner. No sooner had. We said it goes no sooner had done. And then we also mentioned as soon. As soon as. Of which, if you can remember, we said that no sooner had depicts its meaning here, or if you're writing it in a sentence, it must mean that something happens immediately after the other. And we gave examples here, like we mentioned. No sooner had the bell rang with you, because here this is hard. So no sooner had the bell rang than the teacher stepped into our class. So that one shows that immediately one thing happens. Immediately one thing happens, another one happens almost immediately or immediately. And then you also mentioned as soon as, which you mentioned things like as soon as the bell rang, the teacher entered the class. So this one also meant immediately. So both no sooner had and as soon as can be used to show that one thing happens immediately after the other. And I said, as I was emphasizing, that in examination it may be brought a sentence that immediately Tom made a call, then the boat capsized. Immediately, or you say, no sooner had Tom finished making the call than the boat capsized. So Tom was in the boat when the boat was capsizing, and no sooner had he finished making a call than the boats are capsized. So they are being told A, B, C, D, which one mean the same as the underlined? And the underlined phrase that no sooner had Tom finished making a call than the boat capsized. So the answer will be very simple. Look for any of the A, B, C, D that depicts or shows that one thing happens after the other. So it can be brought as soon as Tom finished making a call, the boat capsized. Or the boat capsized immediately Tom finished making a call. So all those can be the answers now. So be very keen to choose one that means immediately. Let us go to the ones we're going to go to today. We're going to do 5 of them. So be very, very keen, very fast, so you can move faster. Number 1 is going to be the one that means the same as the one we just finished. That is barely. So we have barely. That goes with when. Remember what we talked about correlatives. These ones will go like that. There's no way we'll talk of barely that. No. Barely done. Done is only for no sooner. Talk of barely when. And then we also have scarcely. Thing like that. And then scarcely also we talk of when. And lastly we have hardly. Talk of hardly when. So now we look at these 3, then I'll add 2 more, then we call it a day. So Lana will begin from there, from barely. So all this, if you are very keen, these 3 only from here, these 3 things here, we had done them before under the adverbs of negativity, the one that shows that something is negative. Barely, scarcely, hardly. Mother barely goes to town. Mother scarcely goes to town. Mother hardly goes to town. They are adverbs of negativity. So when we add when there, it shows that immediately one thing happens, another one happens. So we may have had there, mean that for an example of sentences, e.g. example of sentences like number 1, barely. But barely Barely had the bell gone. Barely had the bell gone. Bell gone. When the teacher left the staff room. So in this one, if you can look at this sentence well, you realize that the teacher leaves the staff room immediately the bell goes. That's why we talk of barely, scarcely, and hardly can be used the same way as no sooner, had than is used. Barely had the bell, I omitted bell here, had the bell gone, barely had, because of had we must talk of a past participle. So barely had the bell gone when the teacher left the staff room. You can also use it to mean that the future, like barely will the bell ring. Barely will the bell ring when mother will go home. For example, barely will the bell ring when people will go for break, for example. You can use it to mean any particular tense in that manner, to mean the future, the past, or even the present simple. Then scarcely also the same, but of course scarcely had the pupils entered the church. Scarcely had the pupils entered the church. Scarcely had the pupils entered the church when the mass began. When the mass began with the A, that's a past tense. So scarcely had the bell, had the pupils entered the church when the mass began. And lastly, hardly, you can say hardly the president arrived. Hardly the president arrived. Hardly the president arrived when the ceremony kicked off. So the ceremony is beginning immediately the guest of honor, that is the president, arrived at the place. So the ceremony began immediately. As we can say, hardly the president arrived, or hardly had the president arrived when the ceremony kicked off. So all this, learner, remember what I've just mentioned, that all these are also used to mean immediately. Immediately one thing happens, the other one follows immediately. Or you can talk of the word almost. So almost immediately or immediately. So all those can apply. So remember what I mentioned when I was revising our previous work, that we may be asked these things in different ways. There's no day you'll be told learner to write a sentence in examination, but you'll be given a sentence and then given A, B, C, D, and you ask which one mean almost the same or mean is closest in meaning to the one underlined. So you must be very keen to read A, B, C, D, and then look at one that means almost immediately or immediately in that manner. So the two that I promise that I'll give is one, not until, that normally goes with that. Yeah, very important. This one is setting area. Not until. So many people confuse not until to go with when. That it was not until the teacher entered into our class when we realized he was sick. No. It was not until the teacher entered our class that we realized he was sick. So that one will take that, will take not until that. In example, It was not until the bell rang that the teacher left. It was not until the bell rang with the A. It was not until the bell rang that the teacher left. It was not until the police handcuffed our driver that we realized he was a drunkard. So it also means that it was that time that you realized that was happening. The teacher only left the class when the bell rang. So it was not until the bell rang that the teacher left. He didn't leave before, and he didn't leave some hours after. He left almost immediately when the bell rang. So if you're a very keen learner, these things almost mean the same thing. The three that we have done, and even this, mean almost the same thing. If you are very, very keen. Let me give you example number 2. It was not until the teacher arrived that the pupils settled. You know, normally in class, normally some people run up and down, some people discuss with their desk mates. But when the teacher arrives in class, people settle down. So it was not until the teacher arrived in class that the pupils settled for the lesson. Then lastly, it was not until he caused an accident that he stopped speeding. Good. It was not until he caused an accident that he stopped speeding. Keen, I'm not trying over speeding, because when you are speeding already you are going more than the limit that you're supposed to go. So speeding is just the same as the one who normally say over speeding. So it was not until he caused an accident that he stopped speeding. He didn't stop speeding before the accident, but as soon as the accident occurred, he realized that he need less for speeding. Hence, learner, that's so much for that. Then you go to the last one. The last one that is commonly used by you, that is the use of not only but also. That is the last one. Not only but also. Very important. So not only but also, learner, is normally used just to add more information. The teacher is not only tired. The teacher is not only tired, but also hungry. Maybe the teacher is in need of food. So apart from him being tired, we are adding more information about that. He's also hungry at the same time. So not only but also is also a correlative. That is normally used like that. You can't say not only but only and leaves also. It must go like that. Not only but also. So the teacher is not only tired but also hungry. That one can apply. And then I can give more, like the man was not only hungry but also sick. Number 2, we are not only going to town to call on our uncle, but also to do some shopping. So we are going down to do 2 things. We are not only going to do one thing, but the other one also. We are not only going to town to call on our uncle, but also to do some shopping. And lastly, let me write the last one. Roman 2. The girl will not only take care of the baby, but also do the house chores. So here we're talking about maybe somebody being employed at home. We are being very precise, and we are giving roles of this girl who is coming in our house. So the girl will not only take care of the baby, but also the house chores. He's also going to do the house chores. Not only going to take care of the baby, but also do the house chores. So these are the roles. We have the issues of house chores here, and then taking care of the baby. So that's why I mentioned that not only but also is used as a conjunction of adding more information. That's like we can normally talk of and. Mother is a we can talk of there's one conjunction here I'm trying to look at here. Yeah, besides. Exactly, that was I mentioned beside meaning next to, but once you just add s, it's now a conjunction. It's now a conjunction that we talk of besides. Besides him being a doctor, is a nurse. So besides him taking care of the baby, he also do the house chores. That's how I mentioned that it is used there as a conjunction. Not only, but also. So learn so much for that. I think we have done a lot. If you're very keen, I've shown how those things are used. Now the work that is remaining is for you, just for practice. For each, those things were around 5. So for each, for relative we have done, write 3 sentences. So meaning that is 3 by 5. So I expect 15 sentences. Planner. Remember there were the use of not only, not until that, barely when, scarcely when, hardly when, and lastly not only but also there are 5. Yes, there are 5. So make at least 3 sentences in each category to make yourself very, very busy. So until next time, I wish you a good day.